Abandoned dragon baby was selling his toys to survive, until a human father gave him warmth and home. The galaxy likes its myths simple. Dragons were monsters. Humans were weak. Compassion was a luxury of the victorious. Every single one of those ideas died screaming. The dragon child sat in the shadow of a shattered orbital elevator, scales dulled by dust and hunger. His wings, once iridescent plates of living alloy, were torn and folded tight like a beggar's coat. In his claws he held a cracked toy plasma spinner, its glow flickering weakly as he whispered prices to passing boots. "Trade," he rasped in broken common. "Toy, for ration." They never stopped. Some laughed. Some pretended he wasn't there. A few spat words like vermin, weapon, future tyrant. Dragons were engineered conquerors, the proud terror of the Drakkar Dominion. Even their hatchlings were classified as strategic assets. This one had been thrown away. He'd been born wrong, too small, too slow, his fire sac malformed. When the Dominion retreated from the border war, they culled the weak. Efficiency demanded it. The hatchling escaped only because a dying handler shoved him into a sewer and sealed it with his own blood. Weeks later, hunger was louder than fear. That was when the humans stopped. Marcus Hale didn't look heroic. Middle-aged. Scar over one eye. Civilian jacket stitched over old Marine insignia. He carried a sack of scrap metal and regret. He'd lost his son on Vega Station when the Dominion glassed the civilian ring and called it collateral optimization. Marcus stared at the dragon child. The dragon flinched, raising the toy like a shield. "Don't," Marcus said softly. "I'm not here for that." The dragon didn't understand the words. But he understood the tone. Marcus crouched, ignoring the whispers around him. "What's your name, kid?" Silence. Then barely audible. "Unit S-14. Marcus swallowed. "Nah. That's not a name." He pulled a ration bar from his pocket and broke it in half. The dragon sniffed it, eyes widening at the protein density. He devoured it in seconds, then froze, as if waiting for punishment. Marcus didn't give it. Instead, he took off his jacket and draped it over small shoulders. The dragon's scales warmed instantly, color blooming back like dawn. "You're coming home with me," Marcus said. The galaxy noticed. Home was a rusted freighter docked on the edge of human space, held together by stubbornness and illegal patches. Marcus named the dragon Ember. Taught him words. Taught him laughter. Taught him that toys weren't currency. Ember learned fast. Too fast. By his third year, he was reading military histories off Marcus's old datapads. He asked questions no one should ask a child. "Why did they burn the cities?" Marcus hesitated. Then answered honestly. "Because they thought no one would stop them." Ember's fire grew hotter when he felt anger. Marcus taught him control. Breath. Discipline. Love. It didn't matter. The Drakkar Dominion tracked their lost asset. They came in silence, black warships sliding out of hyperspace like knives. Marcus's freighter alarm screamed. Ember woke to the sound of boots and shouted orders in his birth tongue. "Secure the hatchling. Terminate the human." Ember's scream shook the hull. Marcus grabbed a rifle he hadn't touched in 20 years. "Listen to me," he said, pushing Ember toward the escape pod. "No matter what happens, I won't leave you!" Ember roared, fire licking his teeth. Marcus smiled, fierce and tired. "That's my boy. Now disobey me." The Dominion soldiers breached the door. Marcus fired. He moved like muscle memory given flesh. Brutal. Efficient. Human. When the last soldier fell, smoking holes through his chest, Marcus was bleeding from half a dozen wounds. The warship's captain appeared on the view screen, sneering. "You delay the inevitable, human." Marcus keyed the freighter's reactor. "You don't know what inevitable is." The explosion tore space open. Ember escaped alone. The galaxy declared Marcus Hale dead. Ember did not. Years later, the Dominion laughed at humanity. They called Earth a cultural backwater. They mocked human fleets as outdated, human politics as fractured, human compassion as exploitable. When border worlds rebelled against Dominion taxation, the Drakkar sent dragons. Cities burned again. Then a human broadcast cut through every channel. A single image filled the void, Ember. He stood armored in scavenged warplate, wings reforged with human alloys, fire burning white-hot. Around his neck hung a familiar, tattered jacket. "I was property," Ember said, voice calm, terrifying. "I was trash. I was abandoned." The camera zoomed closer. "I was also loved." The signal shifted. Dominion command centers erupted in firestorms as coordinated strikes hit from impossible vectors. Human ships, civilian hulls retrofitted into missile barges, slammed out of hyperspace inside Dominion formations. No warning. No declarations. Just war. Human tactics were chaos weaponized. Fake retreats that turned into kill boxes. Boarding actions led by retirees and reservists who fought like they had nothing left to lose. Supply lines vanished. Propaganda networks were hijacked and replaced with footage of Dominion atrocities, edited with dark humor and timestamps. Ember led the spear. Dominion dragons met him in space, confident in blood superiority. He tore them apart. "Monster!" one screamed as Ember ripped through its wing. "Yes," Ember replied. "But I learned it from you." The twist came when the Dominion activated their final protocol, planetary sterilization. If they couldn't rule, they would erase. Earth was targeted. The galaxy held its breath. Humanity didn't beg. They released Project Huthfire. Every human colony ignited ancient defense arrays, terraforming engines repurposed into starkillers. The Dominion fleet around Earth was crushed between gravity wells and controlled stellar flares. Ember breached the Dominion capital alone. The High Executor trembled as Ember landed before the throne. "You are an anomaly. A defect." Ember leaned close, fire illuminating his eyes. "I am a sun." He burned the throne room to ash. The war ended quietly. No surrender ceremony. No treaties carved in stone. The Dominion fractured, its client species fleeing to human protection zones with disbelief and gratitude. Humans didn't conquer. They adopted. They rebuilt worlds. Fed enemies. Buried their dead. Ember returned to the freighter's wreckage orbiting the old station. He found Marcus's jacket preserved in vacuum, folded like a promise. He held it and wept fire. A human child approached him years later on Earth, offering a cracked toy spinner. "Trade?" the boy asked shyly. Ember knelt. Smiled. Pushed the toy back. "No," he said gently. "Keep it." The myths changed after that. Dragons were no longer monsters. Humans were no longer underestimated. And compassion? Compassion became the most feared weapon in the galaxy. Because when humans loved you, they would burn the stars to protect you. And when you hurt what they loved, they would teach even empires how to die. Marcus's ship was a joke, at least on paper. The wayward sun squatted at the far edge of Dock 9 like it had been banished there for crimes against aesthetics. Its hull was mismatched plating scavenged from 3 manufacturers and 1 war zone. The transponder lied. The engines whined like arthritic dogs. Anyone important would have walked right past it. Which was exactly why Marcus loved it. He sealed the hatch behind them and leaned his weight against the door, listening. Boots thundered past outside. A Dominion patrol barked orders. The moment stretched. Then the footsteps faded. Marcus exhaled and slid down the wall, sitting hard on the deck. The dragon child stood frozen, wings tight, eyes darting. He'd never been inside a civilian ship before. No chains. No restraints. No handlers. Marcus noticed. "You're safe. For now." "Safety is temporary," the child said automatically. Marcus winced. "Yeah. I know." He rummaged through a storage crate and came back with a canteen, offering it. The dragon sniffed, then drank cautiously. His body reacted instantly, posture easing, tail uncurling. "What do I call you?" Marcus asked. The dragon thought. Long and hard. Unit designations are assigned by the Dominion. Then we'll assign a better one, Marcus said. He glanced at the way the child's throat glowed faintly when he breathed, the ember light struggling to ignite. How about ember? The word hit something deep. The dragon whispered it, testing the sound. MBR. Color rippled faintly across his scales. Not the blazing war red of Dominion dragons, but something warmer. Human warmth. My name is Ember, he said slowly. Marcus smiled. It was the first real one in a long time. They didn't stay on Kepri 9. The Wayward Sun slipped out under false clearance while the Dominion was busy shaking down another freighter. Marcus plotted a crooked course through dead lanes and unregistered jump points, routes he'd learned back when he wore armor and followed orders. Ember watched everything. He watched how Marcus checked corners out of habit. How he slept in short bursts. How he spoke to the ship like it was alive. Ember absorbed language with frightening speed, repeating words softly, filing them away. Why do you help me? Ember asked during a long drift between stars. Marcus didn't answer right away. He was staring at a cracked photo pin near the NAV console, a human child, maybe 8, grinning with a gap-toothed smile. Because someone hurt you, Marcus said at last. And I've had enough of that. Ember studied the photo. Your hatchling? My son, Marcus corrected. His voice went flat. Vega Station. Drakkar strike. I am Drakkar, Ember said carefully. Marcus met his eyes. No. You're a kid. That answer broke something and rebuilt it at the same time. Months passed. The Wayward Sun became a home in the way only shared survival can manage. Ember learned to cook ration paste into something edible. Learned how to weld, how to read human script, how to swear creatively in 3 languages. Marcus taught him discipline, not Dominion brutality, but Marine patience. Control first, Marcus would say, hand on Ember's chest when his fire flared. Power comes after. Ember grew. Not fast enough for Dominion standards. Too fast for a normal childhood. His wings healed crooked but strong. His fire stabilized into a tight, controlled burn that could cut steel without melting the room. He learned human history. That was a mistake, for the galaxy. He learned how humans fought when outnumbered. How they lost wars and kept swinging. How they laughed in trenches and wrote angry letters to their governments while still showing up to die for each other. Why did they glass the cities? Ember asked one night, watching old footage of burning colonies. Marcus's jaw clenched. Because they thought fear would keep us down. Ember's claws dug into the deck. It did not. No, Marcus agreed. It pissed us off. The Dominion found them anyway. It started with a flicker in the scanners. A signal that didn't belong. Marcus saw it, and went still. Go to the back, he told Ember quietly. Ember smelled blood before it spilled. The first boarding pod punched through the hull like a fist through paper. Dominion troopers poured in, scaled, armored, confident. They froze when they saw Ember. Asset located, one said. Secure. Marcus fired. The rifle kicked like an old friend. The first trooper went down with a hole through his visor. Ember screamed, fire bursting uncontrolled as memory and instinct collided. Ember! Marcus shouted. Breathe! Troopers rushed. Marcus moved, brutal and precise, but there were too many. A plasma bolt tore into his side, spinning him into the bulkhead. Ember roared. The fire that came out of him wasn't wild. It was focused. Surgical. He cut through armor like it was paper, heat screaming down the corridor. Screams followed. Then silence. Marcus slid down the wall, blood pooling. Ember rushed to him, panicked, claws shaking. I am defective, Ember said, voice breaking. I cannot protect. Marcus grabbed his wrist with surprising strength. Listen to me. You are not a weapon. You are my son. Boots echoed again, heavier this time. A Dominion officer appeared on the view screen, sneering. Touching. Unfortunately irrelevant. Marcus reached for the console, fingers slick with blood. He looked at Ember, eyes fierce. "Remember what I taught you," he said. "I won't leave you," Ember said desperately. Marcus smiled. Proud. Terrified. "That's an order you're going to disobey." He slammed the emergency eject. The escape pod fired. Ember screamed as the wayward sun shrank behind him, just in time to see Marcus trigger the reactor. The explosion tore space open. The Dominion ship vanished in fire. So did Marcus Hale. Ember drifted alone, screaming into the void. And somewhere deep inside him, something ancient and terrible woke up, not Dominion programming. Human rage. The galaxy didn't notice one dead freighter. Ships died every day. Borders shifted. Ledgers updated. Marcus Hale became a footnote, civilian casualty during anti-smuggling operation. Clean. Efficient. Forgettable. Ember did not forget. The escape pod drifted for 3 days before a scavenger tug found it. The crew saw a juvenile dragon wrapped in a human jacket, eyes burning like dying stars, and decided, wisely, not to ask questions. They dropped him at the edge of human space and took the payout in silence. Ember disappeared. For years, rumors spread instead. A dragon seen fighting pirates alongside human mercenaries. A scaled silhouette boarding Dominion convoys and leaving only slag and warning beacons. A ghost that spoke perfect Terran and quoted human war doctrine before burning you alive. The Dominion dismissed it as propaganda. Humans didn't. Ember learned the hard way. He learned how to steal a ship. How to strip weapons from wreckage and make them fit his hands. How to fly drunk space lanes blind because the NAV data was a trap. He learned how humans survived without empires, by improvisation, alliances, and spite. He learned how to fight like a human. He took contracts no one else would. Escort missions through dead zones. Rescue ops after Dominion. Pacification. He never asked for payment beyond fuel, parts, and information. Especially information. "Tell me where they are," he'd say calmly, fire curling between his teeth. "And live." People talked. What broke the Dominion's confidence wasn't Ember's fire. Dragons were supposed to be terrifying. What broke them was coordination. Human coordination. The first real blow landed at Karsus Belt. A Dominion logistics flotilla jumped in to refuel, expecting empty space and compliance. Instead, their sensors lit up with false contacts, hundreds of them. Drones. Wrecks. Ghost signatures copied from old Dominion databanks. Then the humans hit. Converted mining rigs slammed into escorts at relativistic speed. Civilian haulers opened up, missile bays unfolding where cargo crates used to be. Boarding teams breached from angles Dominion doctrine labeled irrational. Ember led the charge. He tore through a carrier's spine, landing in the command deck amid fire and smoke. Dominion officers stared, frozen. "You are an aberration," the captain hissed. "You should not exist." Ember's voice was cold. "Neither should your empire." He burned the bridge and left the ship drifting, power cut, transponder broadcasting Dominion war crimes on loop. Human channels lit up. So did Dominion panic. They hunted Ember aggressively after that. Bounties rose. Fleets diverted. Assassins failed and died screaming. The more they pushed, the more humans quietly aligned. Old veterans came out of retirement. Smugglers learned discipline. Politicians pretended not to see the weapons flowing into civilian defense networks. The broadcast changed everything. It hijacked every Dominion frequency at once. The image was Ember, standing still, wearing Marcus's jacket repaired a dozen times over. His wings filled the frame, reforged with human alloys, scarred but unbroken. "I was born property," Ember said. "Abandoned for inefficiency." Footage rolled, Dominion hatcheries. Cull pits. Civilian strikes mislabeled as optimization events. "I was taught mercy by a species you call weak." Human ships appeared behind him. Not fleets. Neighborhoods. Convoys. Families. "You burned their children," Ember continued. "You thought they would beg." The camera moved closer. They learn from you instead. The signal cut. Within minutes, Dominion border worlds erupted in coordinated revolt. Human task forces didn't advance. They appeared inside enemy formations, using jump math the Dominion had dismissed as suicidal. It worked. The twist came when the Dominion unveiled their final deterrent. Project Oblivion. Planet cracker arrays, hidden inside their own core worlds, designed to deny territory if defeat loomed. They announced it publicly, smug and calm. If humanity does not withdraw, the High Executor declared, Earth will be sterilized. Human leadership argued for 11 seconds. Then they authorized Project Huthfire. Terraforming engines, ancient, civilian, overlooked, flared to life across human space. Not weapons. Not originally. They rewrote gravity. Twisted stellar winds. Turned suns into controlled infernos. The Dominion fleet around Earth vanished without a shot fired. Ember watched from orbit, silent. He felt no triumph. Only focus. There is one place left, he said. The Dominion capital burned bright on his sensors. Ember set course. Not as a weapon. As a sun finishing a lesson. The Dominion capital was a cathedral of arrogance. Towers gleamed with stolen star metal, spires pointing like accusatory fingers at the cosmos. Their dragons roamed the skies above, scales polished to intimidate, wings slicing the wind with practiced superiority. Their fleets waited in orderly formations, confident. Confident in tradition. Confident in fear. They had never faced Ember like this. He entered the atmosphere alone, wings armored with scavenged human alloys and reinforced human engineering. Fire curled around him, not indiscriminate destruction, but precise, lethal, surgical. The dragons rushed to intercept, and their terror became their undoing. Monster! One hissed, claws snapping inches from Ember's face. Yes, Ember replied calmly, fire sparking like white-hot steel from his mouth. But I learned it from you. He struck with terrifying efficiency, ripping wings, tearing armor, flipping dragons into spires. Dominion officers screamed, flailing against their protocols. Ember moved with human unpredictability, combining instinctive draconic power with cunning strategy Marcus had drilled into him. The High Executor appeared on the palace main view, radiating disbelief. You are an anomaly. A defect. I am a son, Ember said simply. He landed in the throne hall. Fire glinted off his eyes. The High Executor trembled as Ember's claws raked across the room, reducing everything in a flash of controlled fury. The throne cracked, the banners melted, the guards fell silent. For the first time, the Dominion realized their greatest fear wasn't a weapon they'd created. It was love. Love had trained him, protected him, fueled him. The war ended not with surrender, but with fracture. Dominion fleets scattered. Client species fled to human protection zones, stunned and grateful. The empire that had thought itself untouchable now existed in pieces, their arrogance shattered by one human and the dragon he had raised. Ember returned to orbit above a ruined station, the wreckage of the wayward sun, and found Marcus's jacket, preserved in vacuum, folded like a promise. He held it, scales vibrating with quiet grief, and wept fire. Years later, on Earth, a human child approached him, offering a cracked toy spinner. Trade? The boy asked. Ember knelt, wings folding carefully around him. He smiled, faint, weary, full of history. No, he said gently. Keep it. The myths changed. Dragons were no longer monsters. Humans were no longer underestimated. Compassion, the simple, human, impossible thing, had become the deadliest weapon in the galaxy. Because when humans loved you, they would burn the stars to protect you. And when you hurt what they loved, they would teach empires how to die. The galaxy learned that lesson. Slowly, painfully, and with no one left to argue. Ember rose into the sky, the last ember of vengeance, and the first flame of hope, carrying both Marcus's love and humanity's unstoppable, terrifying genius. The universe could no longer ignore them. And neither would anyone dare.